Guys, we are Zooming with the one and only Mr. Senator Raphael Warnock, who is a senator for the state of Georgia, and he is here to educate us a little bit more about a recent bill that was introduced with him and Senator Kennedy, and it's called the Insulin Now Act of 2023. Senator Warnock, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, great to be here with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to bring this up to you just before we get into the Insulin Act. But in 2019, we actually interviewed at the Democratic State Dinner here in Georgia. And I asked you, I said, based on your speech that you had made, do you plan on running for office? And you hadn't launched your campaign or anything. And we had did that. And that actually, people saw that. And that actually led me to get this position here at iHeart. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, great.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Glad you're here.
Oh,
Any
yeah,
way we can help.
absolutely. I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and get into this. So you and Senator Kennedy recently launched this act for insulin. And this act is called the Affordable Insulin Now Act of 2023. And this is to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month. So, can you kind of tell us a little bit about this? I know this is actually something that you ran on during your campaign because I remember covering your campaign and you were preaching this that insulin should be more affordable. So, can you tell us a little bit about what's in this act and how did you come up with the idea for this?
Well, thank you so much. I have long been an advocate for healthcare, making it accessible and affordable. Dr. King used to say that of all the injustices, inequality in healthcare is the most shocking and the most inhumane. And so my work in the Senate is a continuation of my lifelong commitment to healthcare. Um, I come from a state where there are 1 million adults with diabetes. It is a disease that ravages huge sectors of our country and our state, and disproportionately African American communities. Insulin should not be expensive, and I've seen this up close as a pastor. I've seen diabetics and the challenges. Insulin was invented 100 years ago. The patent was sold for $1. It should not be expensive. And so I'm glad that last summer, through my efforts, we were able to pass a law in the Inflation Reduction Act, which caps the cost of insulin for folks who are on Medicare to no more than $35 of out-of-pocket cost. I got that done last summer. I was aiming to get the cost of insulin capped for everybody, including, or certainly for folks who have insurance. And we came close, but we came up short. So this Congress, after I was sent back, thankfully, to the Senate by the people of Georgia, I wasted no time connecting with a colleague on the other side of the aisle, Senator John Kennedy, and he and I have introduced the 2023 version of the Affordable Insulin Now Act. And what we're attempting to do is finish the job so that folks with private insurance now can have their insulin capped to $35, and also people with no insurance at all. Insulin should not be expensive. And when we make it affordable for individuals, I think we go a long way with getting healthcare costs under control for our entire system. After all, $1 out of $4 in our healthcare system in our country is spent on diabetics. And so it's in the best interest of the people of Georgia, whom I represent, people all across our country. And it makes sense for our larger healthcare costs.
Got it. Okay. And I was actually taking a look at a document someone from your team sent me, and I was taking a look at this document, and it said that insulin was now up to almost 600 and over $600, and that is almost like a car note, for certain people and stuff. So, how important, because this is something where certain people within the country have to choose between life and getting the necessary necessities for their healthcare. So why is this such an important issue that you guys are getting done and pushing this act forward?
Oh, it's critically important. And I've seen it up close as a pastor. I've been a pastor for 25 years, and I've been at the bedsides of numerous parishioners. I've been in the waiting rooms of families when they receive the news that a loved one has to get an amputation as a result of the diabetes out of control, or has to go on dialysis. When you need insulin, you need insulin. It's not optional. And literally, there are people who are rationing their insulin. I met a young woman like that. Her name is Lacey McGee. She was my guest at the State of the Union address this past earlier this year. And this young lady, Lacey, literally would find herself online, on Facebook and other social media platforms, meeting in order to plan meetings with total strangers. Imagine that, in dem parking lots, to get not illegal drugs, but a life-saving drug, insulin. People are buying insulin from folks who have it left over from dead relatives. They're rationing their insulin. This should not be the case in our country. And so it's critically important. We all have a stake in making insulin affordable. It's part of my larger work with getting the cost of prescription drugs in general under control. And I'm glad that I have a bipartisan co-sponsor on this. And I think there's a bipartisan path, by the way, for getting this done. Some 20 states, many of them red states like Utah, Oklahoma, Alabama, already cap the cost of insulin. And I think if we center the concerns of ordinary people rather than the politics, we can get this done.
Okay, got it. And you guys recently introduced this bill. So what's the next steps? What happens next?
Well, there's work going on right now on the Health Committee, that's and the Housing, Education, Labor, Pensions Committee, and or Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, and all of the various committees of jurisdiction. I'm talking to my colleagues on both sides of the aisle. I think there is an appetite on both sides of the aisle for getting this done, and I'm going to continue to work with everybody I can, anybody I can, to get this done for the people of Georgia.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for taking time to come on the platform and share with this. And I'm glad you were able to come on and inform the viewers about what you guys are doing in Washington and stuff. And we appreciate you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you.